All right. Oh, we're talking off the show, talking about The Flash, Season 1, Episode 12. Crazy for You is the episode title. With us is Ariane Styles.
Ariane
Styles, which
Sorry.
I just
anybody on that one.
I just met you, so
yeah.
So that's pretty. So I'm glad you corrected me because I don't want to make that mistake again in the future. We can find you at Twitter at ARI4 NNE. That's what we said. And then also we have with us Devin Johnson.
Hey, Devin.
Hey, Devin. How's it going, man?
The fastest fan alive.
Fastest fan alive. Is on Twitter at Flash Johnson. And I am Christopher Schmidt. You can find me on Twitter at Teleject. And we're here for this episode. So let's just dive in, guys. Ari.
Yes.
Last week you said you like the archetypal shows. I have no idea what that word means.
Yeah, I was wondering when I saw that in the notes, but what I meant last time was I love it when an episode balances the big story and the little story in one. And I think that this week, Crazy for You, I liked it, but it was a little bit more little story.
You focus on the small, yeah.
Yeah, and that was okay. But I guess maybe big story is, other things like, potential romance with the coworker / Caitlin person and that sort of thing. So I guess that could be big story.
There's a lot of things floating in the air, right?
Yes, there are.
So a lot of threads, and so I won't get back to that later on. But yeah, there was just development, not on a full scale, but there was just like. We had the monster, the villain of the week, monster of the week, but we also had these like loose threads going on.
Yes.
So it was like it was in a way we're advancing plot threads, but it wasn't this huge step.
Right. And then the thing that I didn't think about until you said it out loud and I'm chewing on it in the back of my mind now is Chris said that kind of felt like Pied Piper Part 2, and I think that we're gonna have many Pied Piper.
Yeah, hopefully,
episodes. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, like the way Devin and I talked about it last week was like, we should. Yeah. We can't wait for Pied Piper to be
He's a character that just needs to be developed. I mean, he's kind of begging for it. He obviously has like a little hook for us to kind of just jump onto. It's obviously hanging out there. Like he's not completely evil. He has ulterior motives. He's not really the most socially adept.
Right.
But he overall has altruistic motives. He really just wants to say, hey, this is what was done wrong. I want to point this out and fix this. And I need revenge. Like, I mean, he's been betrayed by like 2 father figures now at this point. He's bitter. He's angry. He's like, what?
Yeah.
First my real father with the whole coming out thing, and then Mr. Wells, what are you doing? I mean, so I can see where he's coming from a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and then, Well, he was in the show. Pied Piper was in the show, and they kind of developed the Firestorm plot. So, so they built that up a lot, and then, so what do you think of that Firestorm subplot, Devin?
I mean, it definitely ties into the comic book. Martin Stein and Ronnie Raymond are part of one whole Firestorm,
right?
And it was all part of an accident. It may not have been a Star Labs explosion. But it was all part of an accident that made them meld into these 2 characters. It isn't quite as tragic in the comic books as it is in this medium because you got to add a little bit of pathos, a little bit of gravity to it, make it mean something. So that makes sense, but it's a little twisted. It's kind of like, whoa, like Martin Stein, you're inside this guy's head, and then everything's kind of just going all. I mean, obviously when he said it was like, I'm not Ronnie. Leave me alone, and then flies away in like a burst of amazing fiery glory. I mean, yeah. But at the same time, though, I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. You're not Ronnie. You're Martin. You're a person occupying your brain, but at the same time, no, it wasn't quite the same in the comic books. It was a whole different kind of, basically, it was running and control the body, and he had his own mind and conscious ability to do things, and Martin was kind of like basically his sidekick almost in a way. It was like a mentor-sidekick relationship, but all in one.
Yeah.
And he gave him advice about how to make chemical things, because one of Firestorm's powers, as he mentioned in the show, is transmutation.
Right.
Which is changing one element or one thing to another. And that came in crucially key for the chemist or I don't know what physicist or whatever Martin Stein is. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, guys. But Firestorm's not my favorite. I'm sorry. I like the character.
Yeah.
Ish, but he wasn't my favorite until Jason Rush took over. But that's a whole different thing. In any case, though, it definitely comes in handy when you have someone who has like chemical equations in their head off the bat like that. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah, I remember like I'm not sure where the Firestorm is where they left it off for the new DC 52, but I thought like the first initial issues were 2 high school kids were both Firestorm, so and I'm not sure. I kind of dropped it. I didn't like that, and I was like, whatever. It took forever for the stories to develop, so I'm not sure. I just dropped that issue. So
you want to be a jerk, but it was kind of bad. I mean.
So my point is like they kind of went back to the old school Firestorm, you know, for this Flash storytelling, which I think most people, if they knew about Firestorm, that's what they would, you know, gravitate towards is the older scientist when they were a kid. So so and then I like literally I know nothing about this villain, so Devin, I'm gonna lean on you to tell us more about how like this villain fits into the comic book.
Okay, Peekaboo is it's interesting that she's kind of a villain of the week in the comic book as well. She kind of appeared out of nowhere, had a little bit of a more tragic backstory than what was portrayed tonight. She seemed kind of misguided more than anything.
What issue did you show up in?
I'm thinking.
Intellectually pushed his glasses up.
Yeah. In the Flash Volume 2, number 180, she shows up as she is a grad student who majored in medical science because her father, Tomas Baez, is dying. Okay. He needs a kidney transplant desperately, and he's not on the list far enough to get one. Okay. So he tries to give him this transplant. The procedure basically activates her latent metagene and makes her kidney unusable, but also gives her the ability to teleport via tactile concussive force, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know. Sorry, science guys. But yeah. So she was a little bit different in the comic book, definitely for sure. She's a bit more tragic. She has a bit more of a actual reason for doing what she does.
Yeah.
She's using her powers to kind of try and steal a kidney for her father. And the Flash obviously interferes, and things go poorly for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And yeah, she ends up in jail, and her father is still on the list waiting for a kidney. Right. And the Flash does his best to try and use his influence to get her up further on the list, which is kind of a way of seeing Wally West grow a bit more. It was an interesting story. It was very one-shotty, but it was very
okay. Cool, awesome. Yeah, I think that was about the issues I didn't really. Okay. I kind of dropped off for. Okay. I dropped off from the planet for a while.
Just so I think Chris knows everything about the Flash, then I get to listen to Devin.
I mean, Jeff, it's so funny because Jeff Johns, I love his early Flash stuff. It comes across so earnest and so just trying to really establish this character as something that's a threat and also, you know, something to be really taken seriously because Mark Waid did a great job taking care of business as far as like building Wally West into a character that we can, you know, love and see grow and kind of see ourselves grow along with him. And that's what really made him work because Barry, by the time, I mean, I was, not born when Barry was around, so I'm just like, Barry, you're already like a full-grown adult and you know what's going on. I can't relate to that so much. Like the Teen Titans, the new Teen Titans, the new Warriors from Marvel. Yeah. Like those characters appealed to me more than anything back as a teenager. And Wally West, he may not have been a complete teenager back when I first discovered him because I mean, New Teen Titans had been. I was 2 when that really came. Yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa. Too much information, right?
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
It was a great series, though. I read it in back issues, and it was amazing. It spoke to me in a way, and even. And Wally West's conservative attitude during that time kind of spoke to me because I was kind of that way too. It was hilarious to see it, like really just. But anyways, I digress.
Okay. Cool. And then, so in this episode, the villain, I think it's really cool power that she has,
yes,
Peekaboo, right?
I really liked this one. This was one of the first times I watched a superhero or a villain and thought, that's an interesting power. I would like to try that one out. And I don't necessarily do that very often.
You use bundles of cash and nice tote bags.
Well, all kinds of weird situations. You're at the uncomfortable dinner, or for people who like if you date a lot.
The awkward situations where you just disappear into a mist.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I can see that working out. Yeah.
Or you're next to somebody really smelly on public transportation.
Like
myriad. Yeah. It's really.
Are you saying something?
No.
Okay.
We're not on public transportation. Don't read anything.
Okay.
That right.
I won't. Okay. Yeah. So, yes, I love the villain. I thought she was great. I love the fact that one of the things I loved about this episode is that again we're seeing how, one of the things I love about it as a Flash fan is that you learn to see how this speed power that he has is just running around really fast, is like how he has to deal with different villains every week, and then he's got to like somehow figure out a way to conquer them. Like we had the Revenge of the Rogues, which was like different than how we dealt with the Peekaboo villain this week. However, I would have to say that at some point when someone tells you she can only jump to where she can see, you find and you use a blindfold. You just put a blindfold around her, and then if she takes that one off, you put another one back on because you're the fastest man alive.
The fastest man alive. Yeah, you're just done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah,
Done.
you just running around in circles with an ace gun.
Wait, I mean, even then, like, poke her in the eye. Just poke her in the eye. Boom, boom, done. Boom, boom, done. I can't see. Salt works. Blah, your eyes. I can't see. Teleport. I mean, there's so many plot holes there. There really are.
Yeah.
But again, with like this medium, we gotta be a little bit, we gotta give it a little bit of chance to kind of shine a bit.
We gotta drag it out.
Speaking of mediums and giving people chances and that sort of thing, I have a beef, and I know that I complain about this a little bit.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna do it again. I have a problem with stories that count on someone doing something stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of to a point where it's a little bit too far. I get you. Yeah.
Just a little bit. And so I've complained before about Iris just kind of sleepwalking through things and not, being really naive and everything. And, we can attribute it to her age, although aren't she and Barry the same age?
Just naivete, whatever.
Yeah, naivete. Okay, we can chalk up a lot of things to that, even though I loved the "you're not the center of the universe" moment for her at the end.
Yeah.
Of
the date.
When he goes on the date with the coworker that is her senior.
Yeah, the reality check is what we call that. It's like,
hi, there are other people besides you. Yeah. You're not the only female on the show. Okay, and then sorry.
It's a successful show. We can hire other actresses.
Yeah. It makes sense. Barry just seems so obsessed with her to a point where it got a little bit old already. Like we're like seeing him pine after her so much. We're just like,
yeah, it's episode 12.
And like,
yeah.
Fastest man alive, man. You have like all this going on. You're like a forensic detective for the police department. Like, what are you doing with this nonsense? Just, come on.
And I mean,
bro.
Yeah, this week was the discovery of, hey, I work with this really wonderful woman with a PhD who's really smart and fun when she drinks, and then, this other woman gave me her number. Hey, there's a whole big world out there as far as that's concerned.
And he could sing.
And he could sing. We discovered.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
See, I love to sing too. So that was just like, what? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, the Flash sings too? What's going on?
That was a really pleasant surprise.
Well, you guys know it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh my gosh.
I know it was kind of a silly aside, but it was a pleasant surprise.
He's also he's on Glee,
Oh, I
didn't know. Originally on Glee. So that's where he came from. So he has, obviously, some chops when it comes to singing. Like, it wasn't a surprise to me personally. He was just like tearing it up. I'm just like, what's up?
Right. I watched that other Ryan Murphy show where everybody bleeds and dies, American Horror Story, and nobody sings. Well, they've started to sing more on that one, but
everyone bleeds and dies
on American Horror Story. That's the other Ryan Murphy. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so getting back to my beef about dumb things. Okay, I love Cisco, but he is on notice this week.
On notice.
Geez, I need like a sign or something.
Yes, you do like a on notice.
Okay, you are brilliant, and again, he's kind of got the naivete thing where you forgive him because you know that he means well and that sort of thing. But there was the gun that he created several episodes ago that turned into a problem. Yeah, and now his kind of back and forth, like he can't let go of the back and forth with Hartley so much that it makes him do stupid things like taking Hartley out into public this week.
I will say, like, he had that backup device, which really, like, I felt, I thought it helped
that was
out.
false security. I mean, I was pleased that he did that too.
Just very much just like, I got this action. What's up? Yeah.
And I felt like his fighting moves looked like, they actually acted like he was going to go full skill, take him down with his fist, which I would have totally enjoyed. I totally would have enjoyed him just taking him down with his fists and saying, "Don't do that again," and then we moved on, rather than him having to pull out his toy and just like, don't do this, because that way I would feel like he knows he's making a stupid mistake, and he's got to go to the limit to make sure he doesn't escape.
So I don't have a scorecard somewhere, but that seemed like the third mistake. I could be wrong. Maybe. I remembered the gun, and I think there's 2 mistakes with Hartley.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, maybe he gets one more mistake, but really he should.
But his motives behind the mistakes, are what the thing we're looking at for real. Mistakes are mistakes. But you know what? The cold dumb trick, because the Flash's guy, he couldn't quantify the time. This guy's faster than anything. Right. You don't even know him for real. He could easily turn into the Reverse Flash in a heartbeat. You don't know. And so, I mean, that makes sense. I have the expertise to create a weapon to stop this guy. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm going to make sure I can stop him if I need to. And unfortunately, it fell to the wrong hands. But it's not really something you can blame on him.
Yeah, well, I think that we forgive Cisco because he tries to make it right away, or, you immediately get this feeling that he learned something from it. But I was still kind of annoyed today, because didn't you just know when they were standing outside, this is not going to end well? Yeah. And, for the first scene, it did end well, and he did have a plan in place, but you just knew. Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I know what you mean, but, like, Caitlin is really the main impetus behind his decisions. I mean, it really is it. It's Caitlin. It's not about himself. It's not selfish. It's not something that he's trying to, prove to himself or Hartley or anything. It's really that information to him. I mean, you're right.
There's a little bit of
also, continue. Sorry.
There's a little bit of the. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of that masculine stuff between him and Hartley, like, Hartley is under his skin. He doesn't visit any other prisoner there nearly as much, and I'm like, I was thinking to myself, we learned last week that they have like little cameras and speakers into that, those cells. He could carry on that conversation with Hartley at a distance,
right,
and probably not get sucked in emotionally.
But they know each other, and that's why it's such a thing that needs to be, because it's unresolved tension. Yeah. And that exists in every relationship and like the existence. I mean, you want to resolve things. You want to come to a conclusion. You want to make sure things are resolved. You want to do it face to face. I mean, who wants to do something to a camera in a cell talking about, oh yeah, I got you finally. Oh no. Like, really, it's not even as satisfying. Like, if I'm going to talk to somebody like, hey, down in your cell, what's up? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of.
So I see your point. Yeah, he definitely was driven a little bit by the selfishness of the whole thing. At the same time, no, Caitlin did come up. I mean, Firestorm, Ronnie. That's the main reason why he's doing this. Really. I mean, he's a little bit selfish. Yeah, he's trying to definitely show him up so that he's better than Hartley for sure. But
Yeah, I will say, like, I mean, we had the last issue where Wells tells him that his heart is one of the things that he liked about him, and to bring him on board. Also, I feel like he's coming from a good place. Also, as we talked about last episode, there's no toilet in those rooms, so I feel like actually getting him out of the cell is actually helping him out, and like a lot more.
I can't unthink it. Like you nailed it. I'm just like, I can't not see. Where does food come from?
Yeah, I know.
What are they doing with this situation?
We need to come up with a list of lingering questions and check them off whenever they do get answered. I
mean, like they don't even have to answer it. They could just like address the problem. Like you have like Flash says, just say, exactly. Hey Wells, how do they go to the toilet? And then he just drives off. He doesn't have to answer it. As long as it's out there in the show, we're like, oh well, that's a serious business we got going on here.
He just smiles to himself. He's just like, I don't know, don't care.
It just wheels off. Like I can't.
They're gonna borrow Shauna's teleportation technology for avoiding waste or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So I feel like, and then going back to the stupidity part, though, like I do feel it's hard, but like it was like, oh, by the way, like the whole shackles, like wherever we're going, you have to unshackle me. I'm like, what, a dark computer lab? Like I think shackles are.
There's not one other person that would see you in shackles. I have to take those off.
It's a college computer.
Understand why it's on again?
Yeah.
You accomplished your mission. You went to where you went to go to, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Hey, boom, we're done. Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, it's like in the back of my head, you're a criminal. You're evil. You already fooled me once. I mean, fool me once. Shame on you. Shame on twice. I mean, shame on me. I mean, I messed up. Like,
yeah.
So.
My thing with Cisco is like, yes, he's on notice this week, but I know deep down that he's gonna learn, and do better, and get a little stronger or whatever. And the little icing on the cake also for me this week is that Barry's dad knows just from one contact that he's the Flash, and Iris still doesn't get it.
Yeah, like the reporter who's free.
Yeah.
Doesn't know, but like one case with his dad, he knows. It's just like,
I mean,
well, like he's a detective too, so it was like.
I'm not trying to be like, oh, whatever, but I will say, a father and son's dad bond is a big deal.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you can kind of just tell. I mean. Mask? Really? You've gone to visit your dad every chance you got. You've seen him.
All right, but he grew up with Iris. He's arguably spent more time with her.
She is dense, obviously. I mean, looking at her versus. I mean, really.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Her detective skills, and the fact that she had to be handed a case, a report, awesome assignment because she can't do it on her own.
Yeah.
I mean. She's kind of still learning. She'll get better. I feel like she will. She's not like Lana Lang on like Smallville or anything like that. That's ridiculous.
But I mean, I felt like as a fan who watched the first show in the '90s, I felt like it was great to see the old Flash talk to the new Flash, and I felt like as a fan that was nice and that was great. As a person who's like watching the show, saying like, okay. So my son is the Flash. I saw a red Flash when my wife was murdered. Hey, son, have you ever gone back in time yet? Would have been my next question in my mouth. So that was just me. So I felt like.
I did. So I mean.
So I felt like that was kind of weird, but I felt as a Flash fan, I was like, it was good to see them talk, and I knew like it felt like it was great for the fans to have that talk. And it was, it was a couple of wins for Barry. He saw his dad, and his dad knows. It was good. So it's all downhill from here. I think from in terms of Barry.
Yeah, and just know also that my heartbeat about Iris is a feeling that she doesn't have to be dumb.
Yeah.
In order for this story to move forward,
no.
or for her to be the character that she is, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I felt like a little pandering that the Flash has to give her a case in order for her to start writing. Which, if you ever known any writer, they will write, and I write I've written books or whatever. It's like you will write just because you need to write.
Yeah.
Not because you have to wait for someone to give you something to write about. So it's like.
Oh, that's where I kind of disagree a bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I love writing. I do. Yeah. But I've had points in times where I've just been stuck, or I've not been able to really continue something, or even start something. And I feel like natural for anyone, especially a person in a position she's in. I mean, she is a novice working at a big, huge, like, picture news company, whatever you want to call it, media, whatever. But she's there. She's exactly. So I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. But she says, my boss only wants me to write about the Flash, and if I don't get anything about the Flash, then I could lose my job or whatever. But guess what? That's where the tough get going. You get up and you prove that you can write about other things.
Right.
You make yourself invaluable. You don't wait for someone to hand it to you.
I don't disagree. I don't think she was waiting per se. I mean, just because he managed to bring it to her that fast doesn't mean she was waiting for him to come around and bring it to her.
Yeah.
I mean, she could have been like trying to do whatever she was trying to do. You don't know. I mean, we could have been hanging out in the corner, like looking up all kind of stuff. Just like, oh, what can I do? What can I do? I mean, she's panicking. You don't really see that, but you can kind of infer it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just can think about it, I mean, anyone's not just sitting there just, oh, I'm gonna get some coffee, hang out for a bit, I'm gonna do whatever. No, she's like trying her best to like figure this out. So, I mean, I don't try to say that she's a dense person per se. She just is inexperienced.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, okay, so let's move on a little bit, but not too far. But we'll talk about Linda Park.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so just want to say, like, for the pilot, it was actually played by Olivia Chang, who I'm not sure they could actually bring her back or not, or they wanted a younger. I'm assuming she's younger. I'm not really sure, but
that explains.
Olivia is. I
was like, what?
But no, she wasn't in the pilot. She was actually in the Arrow setup. Sorry, I should say. She was in the Arrow, but Olivia actually worked on Marco Polo for Netflix, so I don't think that's why she was probably free or she's. I looked at her filmography and she's all over the place. She's doing some great work. So, but for whatever reasons, I'm not really sure. They brought in Malise Jo, I think that's how I say her name, to play Linda Park. And this much I do know because I am a Flash fan. Is that Wally West's Flash dates and marries Linda Park, and so so I want to know, Devin, what your thoughts on Linda Park were. And
well, one, the references to Wally West episode kind of just made me have to put the shirt on.
Yeah.
The pseudo retro Flash shirt. It really isn't retro at all. It came out like a couple years ago, but it's nice and awesomely worn in a great way. And you can't see it close up. It's
the logo.
That's awesome.
Wally West, hardcore taking care of business. This is like back in the day.
Yeah.
Like circa Flash number 50 with Greg LaRocque.
Yes.
If I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm sorry if I'm not, Greg. But references to Wally were ridiculous in the episode. Even down to just the bullet.
Oh yeah, I was about to say
like that scene in the theater back in, I don't remember what issue exactly, but Victim Lady Monte Carlo thing going on. Yeah. It was crazy, but like that whole thing was just like that's Wally.
Yeah.
Wally heard the gunshot and shifted into speed mode instantly, and that's the only reason why he was able to just stop the bullet before it got to the. I'm sorry, I don't mean to exclude you, but it's just like
no, it's good.
Okay. It's very flashy right now. And so, I mean, and then also just the running across the bridge from Keystone to Central.
Yeah.
Like, that bridge matters. You remember the storyline Crossfire, right?
No.
Okay, so Crossfire was when like the blacksmith, she formed the new roads. Like with plunder, tar pit. Not tar pit, sorry. No.
Yeah, no, I had to come back later after those days.
Okay, yeah, okay. So this, you can't see it well. I apologize. This is the bridge.
Raise it up a little bit.
Can you lift it up a little?
Like 2 inches. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the bridge he runs across.
Mm-hmm.
When he runs across from Keystone to Central, wherever he's running to. I was just like, whoa. Like, you went down to the details that ridiculously.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that bridge was actually destroyed. He rebuilt it, making it look like that. So it's like a whole retroactive continuity, awesome, crazy thing. But yeah, it's awesome. So I'm all about like this whole Luna Park thing. I feel like it might not be perfect, but she's been portrayed by like, if I'm correct, there's one in the Flash from before the old series as well.
Yeah.
Linda Park that they had, who was like randomly just kind of here reporting on something at some point in time. So it's actually the third actress to portray her, which is just funny to me. It's like you obviously want to include her somehow. I don't understand why per se, because she's obviously part of Wally's mythos. But hey, it's cool to give Barry something to look after or actually date other than Iris. So I'm all about it. And she seemed like she was a fun actress and really cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, so I'm just happy she's in the show, and even though she should be dating Wally West instead of Barry Allen, but whatever. But yeah, I'm happy that there's a conflict. I mean, there's a love triangle maybe brewing of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
quadrangle if you throw in Caitlin.
Caitlin, are you pro Caitlin?
I thought it was interesting.
Team Caitlin?
I'm not Team Caitlin, but I thought it was like I wondered why it hadn't come up before.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But time needs to pass, obviously, when someone dies and all that. I guess so. But in a way I was like, why hadn't this happened before? And then I looked at the Twitter stream tonight, and somebody posted a page from, they didn't say which edition it was, of the two of them making out.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Caitlin?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Spoil
me. I have to be sure. But, yeah.
We have to go back to the tape.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and see.
Are these some spoilers?
Yeah, spoilers.
Are you sure?
These some spoilers.
Yeah.
You gotta warn us about those spoilers. What you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I don't want to know this.
But the person tweeted, if you think that Caitlin is not a viable challenge to, Iris on the show as far as being a love interest or whatever, maybe you should look at this. And it was like a page from a comic where Flash kisses her and they're like making out, and she's like, "Why did we wait so long?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Wait, this season 0 you mean?
No.
Season 0, the comic book itself? Or like
No, I'll have to go and find it, and you'll probably be able to know what it's from.
All right, if you cause tension between five fans.
I have caused a problem.
Right,
I'm just wondering, because I'm just saying,
wrong.
I mean, I was wondering, is it like a comic book page per se?
I'm sorry?
So it's like a recent comic book page.
I don't think it was that recent.
Yeah, she's got to look it up, and
I'm gonna have to look it up, and I'll send it.
I'm all about it.
Okay.
Ari has caused. You've caused a firestorm.
I'm probably wrong. But that's how I read it, just from what the tweeter said, to go with the pictures.
Oh, those tweeters, man.
Those tweeters.
But I will say, I am team Tina McGee at all costs. So I just want to, I was a big fan of Tina McGee in the old series. So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but that didn't end up too well.
Okay, who is Tina McGee?
We saw her in the a couple, one episode.
Yes.
Where it was actually the yellow suit episode.
Yeah, yellow suit. Yes, exactly.
Where they kind of got that widget toy to put in the cage. Uh-huh. So they got it from Tina McGee's company.
Oh, okay.
So that Tina McGee was like, "Oh, you run for else."
Tachyon particle thing.
Okay. Now I know who she is. Okay.
Yeah, so she's a
Tachyon accelerator, something, I don't know. Something
right. So her husband or ex-husband turns into a really cool villain. Not as cool as Reverse Flash, but I feel like I'm just gonna say he turns into a villain of as fast as Flash, but not directed, just pure anger. Okay. And so it's just so more scary because Reverse Flash has a plan.
An agenda.
Right? And so his villain is crazy. You just want to get the hell away, and you can't because he's everywhere. And okay, so.
Wait, you mentioned Steve McGee, right? Yeah. Steve McGee's husband.
Yeah.
It's so interesting actually because that character is actually really cool. I mean, Think about it. I mean, he's not fueled by the Speed Force at all. He's fueled on steroids.
Right.
He's like
just
a
like
steroid
Captain America.
roided out like super speed crazy person.
Yeah.
And basically does these implants to his body that kind of just affect his whole entire everything.
Right.
He goes into the Flash, ends up like running the brick wall randomly because his reflexes aren't the same as the Flash's are, and
yeah.
That was awesome. That was a great thing.
I love it. So, it was, yeah. So I just want to talk about. Now that we talked about the show, I want to talk about the director is Rob Hardy. It was the first time working for Flash, but he's directed stuff for ER, Criminal Minds, and The Arrow actually.
So lots of television.
But he's also worked with companies like Honda and Coca-Cola. So I felt the directing was really. I thought it was well done. I feel like. I love the vantage points where they had Pied Piper and Cisco initially talking about the bomb shadow. I thought it was pretty good. I felt like he directed directed pretty well. I felt like where it didn't do too well was like the writing duo was like Aaron Helberg and Todd Helberg. They were writing team, and I guess they're brothers. And,
okay.
But I was like, so this is kind of a test. They actually wrote the Reverse Flash episode, the finale. And so it felt like going into this episode, I was worried about, because that Reverse Flash episode just had like so much going on, but there were so many payoffs. Like things came to an end, right? At least till till the next season. But I felt like you mentioned it earlier, Ari. There was like so many loose ends, and it felt like wow, there's so many things going on that it didn't really feel like a congealed episode too much, and I felt like there's like too many loose ends going on. Combine that with the fact that to beat the villain you couldn't find a blindfold, or something. It just felt like like I feel like that was like kind of. I feel like even Devin's idea, like I go like, dude, just get some freaking dust or sand and throw him in the eye.
Oh man, anything. I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, I would have if I were a speedster really. Yeah. Like I have a utility belt. I would. I would have like ball bearings.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Batman and
I have I'd take care of business. I'm sorry. Like Flash, you're Flash, right? You're Flash, right? You have the ability to literally throw projectiles at a speed beyond the speed of a bullet. Right. Why would you not have those available?
Yeah.
Even just cow traps of some kind. They're a speedster. Taking after you. Cow traps. Come down. You're done. Oh, my foot. They're done. I mean, come on. I mean, use logic when it comes to using speed. That's all I ask. I mean, speed is such a calculated, amazing ability.
Yeah.
It really only comes into any kind of real effectiveness is when you think when you're doing it. Right. You're just doing random things like Impulse or Bart Allen.
Right.
Which he was effective as well, but I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're going a little further than class. We're going way. I'm literally going way too far. But I'm saying, come on, like you gotta have something on you that's gonna take care of neutralize threats that are like equal to you or better than you. Like you gotta have that kind of thing on hand. I mean, what are you doing, dude?
Right. Yeah, I know. So, what do you think of? I never know how to actually pronounce it, but like, is it Grodd or Grood? I don't know.
Well, Grodd.
Grodd. Okay, I never know.
Grodd. That was where. Okay, that's where the payoff came from this episode. Like you mentioned, there was no real payoff for certain things, no real anything, but that's been led up to a certain point. And also, I feel like the Firestorm thing's kind of been also a little bit of payoff to that as well, because the Martin Stein thing's been revealed. That's kind of just coming to focus, and it's obviously boom there. This is Firestorm. This is classic Firestorm. He may be a little bit altered, maybe a little random, but he's Firestorm.
Yeah.
Grodd, oh my, just to see. I remember they referenced Grodd back in the old 1991 show, and they mentioned him as being a crime boss out of Helltown. Boss Knight. Remember his informant, Boss Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah, his informant, Boss Knight, was like he's a crime boss out of Helltown. No, actually, it might have even been him. It might have actually been the whatever. Doesn't matter. The point is that that Grodd up to this point was never really going to be realized the way it should have been realized.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're actually showing a freaking gorilla, like freaking out and taking care of business, like and tearing things apart. Like I'm just like, this is Gorilla Grodd as he was meant to be, savage.
Right.
Like just this creature that's like intelligent as all get out. Like he has the intelligence of anyone, greater than us actually.
Mm-hmm.
But at its core, he's still an animal.
Yeah.
He still has primal instincts. He still is going to rip you apart just as soon as he would, like, you know, set a trap for you or blow you up. Like, he'll rip you apart in his heartbeat. He'll tear you apart in a heartbeat. And that's just so visceral. It's so real. You know, you can feel, like, that fear. Like, I don't want to fight some amped up, and also telepathy and telepathic abilities and teleconnect really come into hand as well, right?
Yeah.
He's also like telepathic as well, so it's this force of mind ability that can like make people like follow his commands, or he can like just shut you down, or he can like show you your greatest fear, or anything. I remember back during the Wally West run of The Flash, when Jeff Johns was writing it, where he fought Gorilla Grodd. One of the things he did, he used his force of mind on him, and he was showing him his worst fears, which was basically his like friends and everyone he loves being tortured and killed and destroyed by Grodd. And his speed, it works to such a level that it actually slowed it down to just unimaginable, horrible levels. And it was just so interesting seeing that work so well. Right. Like, Grodd is a great villain when used correctly.
All right.
When used correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, like, whenever those like Grodd episode comic books came out, I was like, I can't wait till we're done with this storyline.
Exactly. You're freaked out the whole time. You're like, who's gonna die next? Who's gonna hurt next?
Yeah.
Right? And then it goes back actually to the kind of Harrison Wells weird connection to Hunter Zolomon.
Yeah.
The whole wheelchair thing comes from the fact that Hunter Zolomon was a detective. He was a what's the word I'm looking for? Forensics
detective
type thing, basically. He worked in forensics, and he was basically a genius at... No, he wasn't that at all. He was a like a police psychologist, something like that. He basically got lines. He was a rogue profiler. He was a Yes, he was a profiler, and he literally would profile every single villain that Flash faced, and would help him kind of battle them at certain points in time.
Yeah.
They became really good friends, and one unfortunate incident, he was there trying to help out Peekaboo, the character who is introduced today. Oh my God! Why is my brain now suddenly figuring this whole thing out? This is all like, okay, so Peekaboo, because Hunter's all, oh my God, I can't, I don't even know this.
Let's take a breath. Okay.
So back to the Hunter Zolomon Harrison Wells connection.
Right.
Harrison Wells is in a wheelchair. Yeah. Hunter Zolomon was put in a wheelchair by Gorilla Grodd while visiting Peekaboo, trying to help her get out of the horrible pit that is Iron Heights, which Iron Heights is referenced in Arrow a lot, but it really is a prison that exists in Keystone, which is the sister city to Central City. They're basically two cities that are formed by that bridge I showed you guys earlier. That whole big bridge thing. Yeah, Keystone's on one side, and that's a whole big thing too, actually. Okay, but yeah. I'm gonna scale it down right now. Basically, Peekaboo is trying to like be helped by this guy Hunter Zolomon. There's this whole, he gets his back broken by Grodd. Like, he is snapped in half by Grodd and he gets paralyzed. Yeah. And he goes to the Flash to say, hey, can you go back in time and please fix this?
Right.
Like, make me not be paralyzed. Like, you're my friend. Help me, please. And the Flash is like, no, I can't do that. There's too many things that could happen, too many paradoxes, butterfly effect, everything that could be mentioned in life. Right? Yeah, no. Time is just too delicate. I can't do it. So he takes it upon himself to go into the Flash Museum, where they're publicly showing the cosmic treadmill that can travel through time. So he tries to use this thing, reprograms it himself, explodes this thing. He becomes Zoom 2. Yeah. The Reverse Flash Part 2.
Right.
Based on time. But anyways.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, yeah. So I mean, there's, I think they need. There there's plenty of material. I think season 2 is gonna be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They've already greenlit season 2, and so I think they're blowing their CGI budget on a payoff for Grodd or Grodd. I always mess that up.
Grodd.
Very good.
So I think the lead up to Grodd, maybe reverse Flash ending.
Oh.
Because that'd be awesome. Like he's too worn out from Grodd.
Oh.
But then he has to deal with reverse Flash at the end. That'd be awesome. That'd be a great cliffhanger. But they're blowing their CGI on Grodd. I mean, I think that's the thing is. And and also I want to make mention that case. Just people were listening. Just like there was some payoffs in this episode. I mean, there were some things, but overall, it felt very disjointed a little bit. Your Flash discovers your dad discovers your Flash.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what about that thing 20 years ago? Did you do that yet? And then and the people being stupid and it wasn't really a smart characters acting smart episode, which is kind of like we want
yeah, it's like we get behind them when they do insightful and interesting things, then people like identify with them more and that sort of thing. So
force actually, as you mentioned, actually seemed really kind of forced the way they kind of forced these situations into play, and then these things came up. You're right. It was very disjointed. That's a great word for it.
It's hard when there's no motivation that's clear or something that ties in maybe from a previous episode or something like that, because then the characters start to feel like props instead of people. And so I don't think they went there this episode, but they teetered in a couple of places.
Right. Yeah, and
I definitely see that. I also feel again that maybe a little unfair when it comes down to just looking at what's going on in general, because there are a lot of different subplots going on, and there have been for a while now. Yeah. Some are being resolved, and some have been resolved. They really have. But again, they kind of force a few new things onto us out of nowhere, for sure. But I mean, it's a CW show. One, I'm not gonna try to clarify.
Well, I mean, if we're doing
it's a great station. Arrow is fantastic. It's a great show.
Now
Those
I know
they're great too. I don't know what they are, but they're great as well.
Right. Well, I know Arrow's been around for a while, but another thing that I kind of chalk up the naivete or like the people don't feel fleshed out yet thing is to it just being new in general, because I don't feel that way about anybody on Arrow, any of the characters on Arrow. I mean, you can tell when sometimes it's like, well, this character is the spotlight this time, and everybody's just kind of following along, but everybody else is so filled in, you don't mind so much, or, it doesn't feel like the person is being used as a prop sort of thing, so. Or
like, sometimes I feel the Arrow, they're like, we're not ready for your story yet, but we need to, like, have a few lines for you to move you along. So we're ready for the next episode.
Right, but they've had 3 years to do that. So if we can sit here next year and say that it's no longer an issue on the Flash, then that's great.
Yeah.
I want to add one more thing just before we move on from this subject. It's just that I feel like in real life people act oddly. They don't always act with the most intelligent decisions or things that really motivate them. I mean, who's to say what motivates anyone really at the end of the day? I mean, yes, there's obviously things about Barry that make him Barry, and there are things that he wouldn't normally do. And I feel like that was stayed very true to this episode. Like, he was fine. Like, he didn't really do, and he went fine. Like, Cisco, I can see your point there. Yeah, he kind of went a little bit, but at the same time, no, he's always been shown as kind of been, like, just a little bit too earnest.
Right.
Just not really looking at the bigger picture when he comes to doing what he does. And that's really what it boils down to. He's not a bigger picture person. And that's where Wells comes into place for him, because he helps him look at the bigger picture. He helps him look at things beyond his immediate thoughts. Like, it really is like that. Like, it's why he's a mentor to him just as well as a mentor to Barry and everyone else there. I mean, there's a reason why they're all meant, they that relationship's there. You know, the reason why it's there. And I mean, and then Caitlyn, I mean, yeah, that makes sense too. I mean, yeah, it came a little bit abruptly after the whole, you know, your fiance rather, is still alive. Like his body's still there somewhere. Yeah. Like you can't just, I can't imagine myself saying, oh, he's dead to me like that. It just seems so casual. That's where I'm like, that seems a little too ridiculous. But I guess he's still making mistakes like that all over the place. Like that guy's a mess. Like I mean, come on. Like think about it.
Right. And then also, I feel like now you think about it, is like now I think about it is like, why wouldn't Cisco bring Caitlyn to the bomb shadow and say like, this is, you know, get some closure there. I mean, you have the set already built up. You don't have to like go crazy about it, but yeah, that'd be just get some closure right there. And I don't know. I just feel like a lot of weird things, but you know, just like man, like you said, like maybe next year they'll.
He told him to stop.
Yeah.
That's why he wouldn't bring her there, because he was behind her back.
Yeah.
No, I mean that would have been kind of a sweet end to the episode. I mean, we always end up staring into, you know, when we resolve the thing with whatever the bad guy is this week, we are most often staring into them in their jail cell.
I see your point.
Right. So like they could have been like, you know, taking care of that, but then in their closing, you know, because they usually tie up a few ends after that, and it would have been nice for him to take her to that and show her and explain how it got there.
Yeah, so I think overall,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so overall, I think there's a lot of things that they could have played with, and we're tightening it up a little bit, but it's, you know, we're kind of like mid-season, the second part of the first season. I think they're just moving the pieces, you know, on the chessboard. Like you see it with Arrow a lot. You just like they're just moving the pieces into position to do the finale rather than, and sometimes it's forced. And I feel like this week is a little more forced than other weeks. So
I love your wording compared to what last episode, where it was basically completely based on chess everything. And it's funny actually. I want to mention one thing I missed last episode, which is hilarious because I wasn't watching it with like, you know, Boom.
Yeah.
But the Royal Flush Gang showed up.
Yeah, you didn't see that? Oh yeah, I love that part.
Well, Royal Flush Gang, like they're like the fodder villains of like the DC universe. They kind of show up me like basically say these guys are a bunch of, they're kind of a threat, but really not really. And bye.
Yeah.
Like
it's pretty much cool. They pretty much showed up because like we need a villain. Oh, here we go. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, they're gone.
Okay, but guys, we're like super meta at this point, so I'm wondering.
We're through the looking glass.
Maybe.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
All right.
We're getting like, you know, I don't know if anybody watches Community, but I'm totally thinking about it right now, and we're like, we've dissected and sliced and diced, and I don't know if there's any stone left unturned.
Well, so Devin, you have any last words for episode 12, season 1?
Well, again, I wanted to just show my reverence for the awesome representative Wally West. So, Bam shirt.
Yes.
Bam Flash mug.
That is a sweet
Wally
mug.
West symbol. JLU. And then I also wanted to show a few things from the old Flash TV series.
Nice.
Because you know, John Wesley ship was so featured, so bam tonight. So another old school T-shirt.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A little bit. There's another old school T-shirt.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And my personal favorite, this one right here.
Oh.
That is really sweet.
That is a good one.
So I mean, I love all the callbacks to the old show. I love the fact that they're really embracing the history and legacy in a way that is so unlike current DC comics. I'm saying. I mean, New 52 is just this whole new thing, and I don't mind it per se. I did read a lot of the new Flash series, and it's been interesting, but. It's been interesting. It's been what it is. What it is. I mean, the art was fantastic at first. It's still working its way along. Brett Booth is a great artist, a great designer, so he's doing a great job with that. And then, I mean, I don't know who's writing it right now because I don't read it, but the art is phenomenal. So rock on.
Yeah. We'll see.
I again appreciate being invited to this.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, please come. Like, we want you and expect you.
You are the show.
You are the show. We're just we're just here to like
talk too much over you guys or try like interrupt you guys too much because like I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
My brain it pops in there if I don't act on it within like 30 seconds. It's like gone.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I think that might mean we're old, but I'm afraid to commit.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, I have no problem with that. Growing is a part of like that's what made DC appeal to me so much because you saw these characters grow up and you grew up with them. Right. And the fact that they just threw it all in the trash recently, it kind of makes me feel a little sad.
Yeah. 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 We'll talk about that in another show. Like a spin-off show.
But it's pretty late, guys. You guys have a great evening.
Right. Okay, we'll see you next week.
You too, sir.
For sure.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Easy, guys.
See you, man.
That was
kind of... You guys.